IUCN under the umbrella of the global network Friends of Ecosystem-Based Adaptation, EbA. My name is Raza Rizvi, and I'm responsible for IUCN's global adaptation and disaster risk reduction work. These days, we are all adjusting to a new normal. Instead of meeting face-to-face, most of us are sitting in our homes, participating in this event. These virtual meetings have made us pretty innovative as we try to remain focused in spite of kids and pets barging in, outside noises such as traffic, neighbors mowing their lawns, or deciding to entertain us with their singing abilities, all continue to enhance the environment. Moreover, let's not forget all the technical glitches which only happen during important virtual meetings. And then there is Murphy's Law. Today, we will try together with you to have an interactive and productive day with all these innovative challenges. The upside to this is that the carbon footprint for this EbA day is the smallest it's ever been. In the past, we have scheduled EbA Knowledge Day back to back with SAPSTA for the ease of our participants, but this time, due to obvious reasons, we are having it virtually, and the response from you all has been just overwhelming. We have gone beyond our capacity with around 300 participants registered and more than 100 waitlisted. We thank you all for all your continued resolve to work together for impactful knowledge sharing to inform and influence policy and practice to make climate adaptation effective. Let's take a step back and revisit where we are and where we want to go. Climate change associated events coupled with unsustainable management of ecosystems increase the vulnerability of people and nature. These impacts can be environmental, degrading ecosystem services, habitat destruction, etc., and social, loss of adaptive capacities, knowledge, institutions, and economic, loss of livelihood options, resilience, globalization, trade, markets, etc. In addition, this crisis is affecting different groups differently, such as women and marginalized groups. Ecosystem-based approaches working with nature have the capacity to address all these challenges. Let me why we all know, but let's just revisit. The whole premise of EbA is that healthy, well-functioning ecosystems and biodiversity enhance natural resilience to adverse impact of climate change and reduce the vulnerability of people. EbA must be inclusive, gender responsive, community-based, directly contributing to local economies, and overall part of national climate change plans and strategies. Thus, EbA offers a holistic approach for climate change adaptation, complementing traditional actions such as infrastructure development. IUCN was the first organization on behalf of its members to make a written submission to the UNFCCC on ecosystem-based adaptation, EBA, in 2008. Following 2 years of active lobbying, where IUCN played a leadership role with many of you sitting here, the concept of EBA was included in the adaptation framework adopted at COP16. IUCN also worked with CBD Secretariat in the definition of EBA, which we use now in 2009. IUCN is one of the world's leading organizations with respect to EBA, and together with members and local stakeholders, has been involved in 73 EBA-related projects in 63 countries since 2010. All this is directly aligned with IUCN's commitment to nature-based solutions as a part of its overall vision and mission. It's crucial to note here that under the umbrella term of nature-based solutions, EBA is an operational component for climate adaptation as per the NPS definition that was approved in 2016 at the World Conservation Congress. So it's not a case of NBS versus EBA or any such other issue. EBA is part of NBS as an umbrella term, and EBA works for climate adaptation under NBS. Together with many of you, we are working from the platform of Friends of EBA. FIBA is a global collaborative network of 80 plus agencies and organizations involved in ecosystem-based adaptation, working jointly to share experiences and knowledge to improve an implementation of EBA-related activities on the ground and have a stronger and more strategic learning and policy influence on EBA. Here, I would like to give a big shout out to the government of Germany, which through its International Climate Initiative has championed EBA as a holistic approach for tackling climate-associated challenges since the inception of EBA, which is more than a decade now. So now I will invite Arno to share with us his remarks on behalf of GIZ and specific examples of successful EBA initiative. Arno, over to you.
Thanks, Adi. Hello, everybody. Also from my end, a very warm welcome and good morning or good evening, depending on where you join us from. We're truly delighted. So many people have joined us already, or still will be joining us over the next few hours to the 6th EBA Knowledge Day. My name is Arno Sckeyde. I'm the coordinator of the global program Mainstreaming EBA, which was commissioned by the Federal Ministry of the Environment, BMU, and is being implemented by the GLZ. As you has just pointed out in your introduction, the potential of the EBA concept to make a significant contribution to adapting to the adverse effect of climate change is enormous. As we know, and we will hear from the ministers in the next session in more detail, more and more governments from our partner countries as well as international donors are building the EBA approach into their adaptation strategies. Whoever takes a closer look at the EBA approach will soon realize that individual EBA measures are, technically speaking, often based on already known techniques, particularly from the fields of agriculture, forestry, water, and landscape management. This is definitely good news because with that, the technical knowledge and expertise for successful implementation of EBA is often already at hand in the partner countries and has been, in some cases, handed down for generations. This makes the approach potentially inexpensive and socially and politically acceptable. There's challenges though. The main challenge for effective mainstreaming, however, lies in the fact that EBA is a typical cross-sectoral approach whose successful implementation requires close cooperation between various international organizations, but also particularly between sectors within the governments of each country. And this makes EBA more a governance issue than a technical one. And that means that this requires a strong political will from the highest level for successful implementation and mainstreaming. The knowledge management for this institutional planning and technical implementation of EBA programs, therefore, plays a key role. To this effect, the Global EBA project, which is organizing this event today together with our friends from IUCN, was commissioned in 2015 and funded through the International Climate Initiative of the BMU. One of the first outreach activities of the global project was therefore the establishment of an international community of practice. It's as a COP. This aims at knowledge and experience sharing and mutual learning beyond projects, institutions, and regional boundaries. Its purpose is to jointly develop harmonized approaches, evidence-based lessons learned, and best practices to help people to adapt to the adverse effects of climate change through a collaborative learning process. Members of this knowledge and exchange network include primarily practitioners from national governments, international organizations, civil society, and research institutions with an interest in strengthening EBA in planning and decision making. Outcome Outcomes of this work include so far, just to name but a few, tools and methods for mainstreaming EBA, vulnerability, climate risk assessment, analytic framework, a study on evidence on the effectiveness of EBA measures, and hot off the press, monitoring and evaluation for EBA. You will all find this under www.adaptationcommunity.net. A key role in knowledge sharing plays the Panorama platform, which might be familiar to you already, which was established by IUCN, GIZ, and partnership with other international agencies that allows practitioners to learn from each other's success and share their stories across the globe. The EbA Knowledge Day was originally planned as a standalone event on the occasion of the UNFCCC Substar 2017 in Bern. In the meantime, it has developed into one of the most important knowledge dissemination tools of the global project and IUCN on the topic of EBA, and also into a kind of a trademark. Jointly hosted by GIZ and IUCN and Friends of EBA, I mentioned that, EbA Knowledge Days are typically held annually since then at key UNFCCC and CBD policy events. This year, the 6th EbA Knowledge Day, held in a virtual format for the first time, with all its opportunities and challenges involved, is leading up to the UNFCCC COP26, even though it's been postponed. The launch of the CBD Post 2020 Biodiversity Framework and the UN Biodiversity Summit, focusing on how EBA can be instrumental to use and maximize the synergies between the climate change and biodiversity agendas. So I'm very much looking forward to a stimulating exchange on this topic, also in this virtual format. As Ali pointed out earlier, the German government has been very active in the International Climate Initiative to promote the dissemination of a holistic approach to climate challenges. And this is why I'm particularly pleased that Dr. Philipp Behrens from the BMU is with us today. Philipp Behrens has worked for the Ministry of Environment in Germany for more than 12 years. His work has spanned national, European, and international matters. Prior to his appointment as head of the ICI, a position he has held for 2 years, he led the Minister's Cabinet Division for 5 years. So without further ado, I would like to hand over the mic to Dr. Behrens if I had one. So I just say, Dr. Behrens, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon, good morning. Hi to everyone, colleagues, friends of EbA practitioners, ladies and gentlemen. I really hope that you can all hear me. And I'm also very pleased to warmly welcome you to the 6th EbA Knowledge Day. Within the next hours, we will discuss a topic that kept us in the International Climate Initiative, the ICI, busy for more than a decade, bridging the gap between the climate change and biodiversity agendas. As you are all aware of the multiple linkages between climate change and biodiversity, I would just like to point out one connection that is recently gaining more and more attention: green recovery and the role EbA can play there. Facing the global COVID-19 pandemic, hence the urgency for sustainable, just, and resilient recovery, as Ali has just pointed out, EbA constitutes a great solution to tackle climate change and biodiversity loss, while at the same time improving livelihoods and resilience of people. Based on all the experience that we have made over the last decade in the ICI, we know that EbA has the potential and the effectiveness to support societies, ecosystems, and economies for a global transformation of sustainability. Since 2008, EbA has been one of the key instruments of the ICI to address those challenges. And we have invested more than 250 million euros in total into EbA projects. We now have a project pipeline of 9 new large-scale EBA projects with a total funding volume of more than 100 euros. And I think it's fair to say that EBA has been a real success story within the EKI portfolio. Over the last 12 years, we have promoted knowledge transfer, research, best practices, and lighthouse examples. But most important, we have moved from small-scale projects to scaling up with larger funding volumes and a bigger outreach potential, like the newly founded Global EBA Fund by UN Environment and IUCN. This fund will support the implementation and upscaling of ecosystem-based adaptation with a funding of 20 million euros. We are also excited to see how other new projects, for example, by Deutsche Welthungerhilfe in the Caribbean, by TNC in South America, or our new EBA and nature-based solution projects in Colombia and in Mexico will evolve. One of the tasks ahead is to make use of the growing portfolio of EBA projects. We need to further provide robust figures to policymakers on the cost efficiency of EBA measures. Despite the strong appeal of EBA and this proliferation of positive stories from across the globe, the approach is not yet being widely implemented or sufficiently mainstreamed into national and international policy process. We still find ourselves confronted with a lack of consensus on how to measure best the effectiveness of EBA at multiple levels. Arno has already pointed out, political will is on the highest level is what we need. Besides hard evidence, we still need to further improve the understanding of policy and governance elements, such as planning and decision-making in a multi-sectoral environment. We need to make use of entry points at policy, planning, and implementation levels, and show how to manage change process. EBA must not remain only a bottom-up approach, but what we need is to further promote and support the mainstreaming of EBA by including it into national plans and strategies. The increasing awareness through the COVID-19 pandemic provides a window of opportunity that we should use. Now more than ever, we need to highlight the many benefits that EBA and also other nature-based solutions provide. We must find ways to accelerate and scale up their implementation. And we must put even more effort in convincing the private sector that we are no longer talking about a green niche, but about green solutions that will be mainstreamed on a global scale. Using this opportunity and bringing all forces together, we need to address the climate change and biodiversity agendas in a coherent approach, at policy level as well as on the ground. So you see, there's still some work ahead of us. I would like to thank you for your participation under these circumstances, and most importantly, for the work and effort that is done by you, the EBA community. Seeing all the amazing projects, products, and publications, such as the recently launched guidebook for monitoring and evaluating EBA interventions, makes me very confident that reaching our goals in conserving biodiversity, adapting to climate change, and implementing a green recovery strategy is possible. I would like to thank IUCN and GSZ for their efforts in organizing this event and adapting it to the current situation. I'm looking forward to the 6th EbA Knowledge Day and a fruitful exchange and discussion with all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Philipp. Wonderful to have you and your views on it. Now we will go back to the app for hearing and listening to those ministers who sharing their views and experiences how this is being done in the countries. We have 5 ministers. So for that, how to go there, I'll hand over to Oli. Oli, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Ali. So 1 second, I will start screen share. So please, first of all, please keep this call open, even if you're going back to the app, because the panel will continue in this call. Please keep yourself muted. I would also kindly ask everyone to keep your video switched off. We have several participants who've kept the video on. So this event will be recorded. In order to only have the speakers recorded, we kindly ask everyone to switch their videos off. So yes, we are currently here in the welcome and opening remarks. We would also ask you, oh, wait a second. There was a problem. Can you see my video now? Okay, there was a problem with the screen share. I apologize for that. So we are currently in the welcome and opening remarks section. And very few people have used the poll break the ice section. So in coffee break, you can also still do the poll. We are now moving on to the reports from the minister. So it's much better quality if you directly play that video on your device. So we would ask you to go to this agenda item reports from the ministers, play the video, and we'll have the coffee break after. You can also comment. We would ask you to also comment, ask your question, maybe not questions to the minister, but you're invited to comment on this video. And then we're handing over to the coffee break, where we would invite you to make use of the matchmaking function, so you can pick your tags, look who else has the same interest or offers or searches for the same interest as you. You can fill out the quiz, and Philipp Behrens will also be available for additional Q&A in the coffee break, and you can use this call. So please stay in the call, keep yourself muted, and then then after the coffee break, we kindly ask everyone to be back by 2:15 for the panel discussion. Ali, do you want to say something on the panel discussion now?
Thank you, Ole. Yes, so first we will have agenda item 3, which is there on 1:30 with minister's statements. After that, we will go to the panel discussion where we will have panelists discussing overall global level initiatives, how things are being done at UNFCCC and representative from GCF globally, and then from national level, and your question answers and interactive session will be that panel discussion. So please go to the third agenda item with statements from the ministers, and then we will go to the coffee break. So thank you.